Welcome everyone to the webinar. With the continued global crisis caused by coronavirus, leaders are now reshaping their route to market models to respond quickly to the rapidly shifting economy and sustain their organizations through the trials ahead. In today's webinar, we'll be catching up with Managing Director, Bosch& Lomb India and SAP, Mr. Sanjay Bhutani. Sinter began his career in 1989 as management trainee with the Scots and has been with Bosch& Lomb since 2006. During the tenure of 15 years with Bosch& Lomb, Sanjay has held a series of leadership positions in the company. Prior to the role of MD, Sanjay has been Regional Director, Finance Asia Pacific. He is currently leading initiatives to transform the brand beyond ophthalmology so as to reflect its true positioning of being a much bigger healthcare company. In this role, he led the company's brilliant foray into aesthetics business through the launch of Solta brand. He is an avid cricket enthusiast, writes on various topics related to medical devices, and in his free time, he likes to read on topics related to management and organization performances. Sanjay, welcome to the webinar.
Thank you so much, Mansi, for having me for this webinar. Really honored and obliged. Thank you.
The session is being moderated by Lalit Pise, co-founder and CEO Mobizy Technologies. Lalit is an enterprise mobility veteran with almost 2 decades of experience. He invented hybrid mobile programming and has a patent in visual merchandising using image recognition. Lalit built Bizom as a SaaS product to help companies drive better brand performance, greater channel efficiencies, and achieve smarter distribution. His 11 plus years of Salesforce automation experience with FMCG market leaders has resulted in Bizom being at the forefront of digital sales transformation in India, helping over 500 plus enterprises achieve data-driven transformation via automation and analytics. Additionally, he helps mentor many startups in SaaS space on product and GTM. He's also an active speaker, keynote, and otherwise in many leading forums. Lalit, welcome to the webinar.
Thank you, Mansi. Thanks for the introduction. Hi, Sanjay. And yeah, so it's my privilege, to host a leader like you, Sanjay. Mansi, you want to give a quick update on how to put questions and other stuff, and then I'll take it over from there.
Sure, Lalit. Audience, the format of the webinar is 45 minutes of the discussion between the speakers and 15 minutes of Q&A at the end. You can also post your questions in the chat, which I'll ask from the speaker in the last 15 minutes. Between the session, we give you a chance to win goodies. There will be 3 simple questions open to all the people except Mobizians. The first question, the first one who give the correct answers to any of the questions will be given a Bizom swag. So while answering the questions, send the correct answer or the option along with your email IDs. So audience, be prepared with your email IDs written, and the moment I'll ask a question, you can just send me the answer or the option. Now, here is the first question coming. Now, the first question is, what's the tagline of Bosch & Lomb? Your options are A, see better, live better, B, see clear, see better, C, life is good, D, how do I look? You have 10 seconds to answer this. You're free to Google the question, answer, and now be the first one to send the answer along with your email ID. Now, 10 seconds up. The correct answer is see better, live better. I'll be telling the name of the winners at the end of the webinar. Before that, let's move on to the session. Lalit, over to you.
Thanks, Mansi, and thanks, Sanjay. Lovely to see you again. We have a large audience and more pouring in, primarily from CPG or consumer businesses in emerging markets. So I think a lot of us want to know how Bosch and Lomb is building this consumer reach through mom and pop successfully in India, especially with digital and technologies and stuff like that. But before we come to that, why don't you help the audience understand in terms of how the route to market works for Bosch and Lomb? And before we come to COVID and the impact and what innovations we have done,
Right.
maybe just a background in terms of how does route to market work in Bosch and Lomb's case, especially in India.
So thank you, Lalit, for having me for this webinar, to Mansi and all the lovely audiences for attending this webinar live on YouTube. Before we get into what exactly we've been doing with Bizom, I think it's important, Lalit, to understand what Bosch and Lomb is doing in India, how had been we kind of managing our business, and what we are doing kind of post implementing Bizom. So just to give you a background, Bosch and Lomb is a US MNC, which is like 165 years old, and we forayed our operations in India in the year 1992. Currently, we have three major businesses. One is Vision Care, where we sell contact lenses, lens care. So this is more like a FMCG healthcare company, because the products are related to ophthalmology, it's healthcare, and but it's also like a fast-moving consumer goods. Second is the surgical business, where we have cataract unit and also the refractive. So in cataract, we sell equipments for cataract surgery. So the equipment would cost between maybe 2 million rupees to going up to about 5 million rupees. And refractive would be maybe from 25 million upwards, depending on what machine is required. And that's for LASIK vision correction. And the third business is aesthetics. So which is again an equipment business, but different from ophthalmology. So where we deal with maybe the doctors who are into dermatologists, plastic surgeons. So where we sell equipments which are non-invasive, used for wrinkle reduction, fat reduction, so all that. But all businesses have different distribution model, right? So if I come to Vision Care first, so where we sell contact lenses and lens care, so we've got three different level of distribution. So where we've got direct customers, like bigger customers like say Titan, we have got GKBs and Lawrence and Mayos in the country. And then we have a distribution model for the optical trade. So which is the standalone retail shops, or which would have some branches, maybe 4, 5, 6 branches, either in the same city or different cities. And then third is the chemist channel. Yeah. And we implemented Bizom to start with in the Vision Care business, because that's more complex, which is also 2/3 of our business. And we almost got about close to 200 distributors in Vision Care across country, so which are into different channels. So one is catering to the chemist segment, so where we just kind of sell lens care, and then the optical. So this journey for implementing maybe a distributor management system or the retailer app, in fact, is not new for us. We started or attempted that earlier. So we started once, I think, in 2009. We went maybe to that road to a certain extent, but had to pull out because eventually we were not able to implement. Because if we go back 2009, no, the kind of internet and the mobile phones or maybe the infrastructure you have was not available that time. So we were not able to maybe succeed at that time. But this one, we really kind of, I think we thought about that we need to kind of implement this time, right? So we can't fail like again and again. So this journey started 2017. I think I was once in a market, no, and this was like in Delhi market, visiting a optical store in Mehroli, right? So this guy said, "See, you are the market leader." So in fact, we got about 65% share in contact lenses and about 80% in lens care in India market. And he complained, and generally, like if you go and maybe visit any retailer, no, so they would tell you what all bad things the company is doing, but not the good ones, right? So that's there. But I think that's very great because you get your learnings from there and come back and maybe see how we can kind of improve what you have been doing. So then he said, like and suddenly what happened? No, a delivery guy came in from a competition, and he said, "See, I ordered this about 11 o'clock. Right now it's like 3 o'clock, and I have my deliveries. And for Bosch and now, I don't know. Like I ordered 2 days back, and still not aware like when the delivery would come, right?" And then we from there like picked that up and then went to maybe Khan Market. There also kind of similar noise kind of coming in from maybe few retailers. So then we thought like something is not good. Also, the other fact, no, if I talk about my products, so we would have about like 20 different brands of contact lenses. So you've got yearly lenses, you've got monthly lenses, you've got daily lenses, quarterly lenses. Then the categories further divided into you've got hydrogel lenses, you've got silicon hydrogel, you've got hypergel, and then you've got toric lenses, multifocal lenses, right? So even like maintaining inventory at our level is very, very difficult. So forget about the distributors. Those guys like real kind of struggle to how to kind of maybe maintain my inventory so that I'm not missing on any orders, right? And then how do I kind of maintain first expiry, first out, because all our products come with maybe certain years of expiry. So what was happening, all the retailers would call up a distributor and they would then order on phone. Many a times they would call up our salespeople and give their orders, which in turn, who in turn like used to call up distributors, give their orders. Think about like we've got over like 20,000 SKUs. So somebody calling on phone and a guy on the other side on the phone like taking an order. I don't know what paper or maybe any kind of maybe formal booklet they had to maybe take the orders. So as a result of which, like a lot of returns or exchanges are happening. Like I ordered this, but we got like something else in delivery. So we don't know like when we would get our delivery if we've ordered now. So all that was happening, and which was also kind of taking very, very productive time of our sales team because they were more engaged into uh, servicing the orders rather than like generating the leads and sales, right? So primarily the role of the salesperson is how much more orders they can get, not what orders they've generated, and they're spending time to kind of how that gets serviced. So which is really not role of a sales guy. And then also on the weekends, no, you see generally people visiting the optical stores for maybe fixing their spectacles or maybe buying contact lenses. And Sundays, like the distributors are closed, right? Also, they would work maybe from 10 a.m. to say 6 p.m. And then anybody and people like walking in the store in the evening would maybe and the retailer like calling up the distributor office would find the office is closed, or maybe the employees taking the order is on leave.
Yeah.
Like many things were happening, gone out for lunch. So all those issues were there, which was kind of impacting the sales numbers. Also, what happens? No, we've got a toric lens. So toric lens is where you got both vertical and horizontal power, right? And generally, like the SKUs for each particular brand would be like over 2,000.
Yeah.
So any new customer walking into a store, so the retailer would prefer to order maybe from 4 different companies. So they would not restrict to that I order only from Bosch and Lomb, because who maintains that 2,000 SKU stock at the distributor level, whether that's there or not there. Though you like classify between fast moving and slow moving, but very difficult to kind of maintain that kind of an inventory. So then they would call up our warehouse in Gurgaon. At times it might happen also that we are not carrying that inventory. Then we have to maybe source that from our plants outside the country. So which was a big challenge. And uh, once they order to the 4 companies, whosoever is like delivering first, they would give that product to that new customer. And contact lenses is if maybe any customer, it's very difficult to switch. So for example, if you start using like one particular product,
Right.
then maybe to convert you to another product is very difficult.
Absolutely.
So it's always good to maybe catch them young, or maybe when they come in for the first time. So service becomes very, very important, right? So visibility of the inventory, timely delivery. So then I think in 2017, we implemented this in 2018. So I took my business head and my supply chain director. So we went outside the offsite location and we sat down there for a day, right? And then on a whiteboard, we said like, let's put down all the issues and where we want to go, and maybe divide that into phases. What we need to achieve maybe 2-3 years down the line. So it should be kind of a system where maybe if I talk specifically, it looks like Amazon. So where the inventory is visible, right? When would you get delivery? Once you get the delivery, the confirmation is back. And also being an FMCG, we work on like a lot of like secondary and primary schemes.
Correct.
So the visibility and the transparency of those schemes, whether that's kind of implemented in maybe a right way or not, is also kind of very important and paramount. So keeping that in mind, so we decided, okay, we need to put in a distributor management system, and let's start with the retailer app first. So in 2017 end, we started kind of evaluating. I think Q4 we started evaluating about 9-10 companies. So we figured out like Bizom or Mobisys was a young team, very energetic and kind of with hunger to maybe get more business, and also kind of the product match really what we wanted to do in terms of both healthcare and FMCG background. So I think that suited best at maybe the appropriate cost. So I must tell you that now. So which was the reason we went with Bizom, and we started implementing from May 2018. So that has been our journey. So we attempted that couple of times also before, but this time kind of eventually succeeded in getting the app implemented. So then there is another journey. So one was like, how do you kind of reach there to start and implementing that? Then maybe implementing that was another challenge which we didn't foresee when we were kind of planning. But I must say, like, we are now kind of 100% compliant, though it took us like 2 years, but we can talk through that if you have any questions around that during this webinar.
No, Sanjay, that was wonderful. That was insightful. I
Right.
mean, there's no wonder, because there are a lot of so many parallels I could see when you were talking about
Right.
your customer orientation, customer focus. When we meet Bosch and Lomb team, it's the same story, right? When you said when you go and visit a shopkeeper, and the shopkeeper not necessarily tells you all the good things about you, but he'll surely
Right.
point out that one missed delivery. It's a similar experience we get. So
But that's really good, no? Because
that helps us to
if
improve.
people talk goody to you,
Correct,
it
exactly,
would not give you an opportunity to improve. So
exactly.
I
That's
think really the credit goes to all our partners, no?
correct.
Who
And
tell us like all the bad things and what we need to improve.
that keeps us on the toe and allows us to stay ahead together. And that's what actually coming to. One other story I just wanted to share quickly with you was I have a 17-year-old son. So when you called me young, I felt really good. Thank you for that. I'm
Right.
surely young at heart. So I have a
Right.
17-year-old son, and I went recently to Titan Eye Plus to buy lenses for him. So he's a sportsman.
Okay.
And when went there to buy lenses, just by the virtue of working with Bosch and Lomb, I knew exactly which lens I wanted, whether I wanted. So I wanted the daily lenses and what kind of thickness and everything else. So I actually knew more about lenses than the salesman did. So my son was fairly impressed with me, and that has only happened because we have been working together for so long, and
Right.
that's where we get into.
And
Right.
Lalit, I said young because that time your son was like 13 or 12.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I still feel young, Sanjay. And
Right.
thanks for
Right.
that. I think both of us are very, very young.
Right. Right.
So coming to the next part, you touched upon a very interesting thing, right? So technology aside, right, Bizome or anything else, one is having the vision. We think of ourselves as extremely visionary ahead of market stuff, and we are generally fortunate to meet companies like Bosch and Lomb, where you want to take us even further ahead. You want to push us ahead and even take us even further ahead.
Right. Right.
But then, by the virtue of doing something that is not done before in the market, means that you end up facing a lot of resistance from all the stakeholders, because it is a new change management, whether it's for
Right.
processes that are changing, whether there are
Right.
humans have to change their habits. Like you said, people are used to writing on paper or taking orders on call, and now suddenly you have this futuristic smartphone application which is directly connecting retailers. So while you're providing all these benefits, I'm sure even in our journey for last 2-3 years together, you must have faced a lot of resistance or change management challenges within the organization and in your channel partners. Can you just take us through in terms of how did you go about handling them, handling those objections, solving them, and proving the value that it's really a win-win solution for everybody?
So journey, like I said, when we started implementing in May 18, so I was very kind of confident that maybe we come out with this retailer app, and in fact we were first in the industry,
Yeah, absolutely.
and would really kind of help the retailers to maybe order through the retailer app at their convenience, uh, maybe even at midnight. So even today, like we see orders like coming in 12 in the night, 1 a.m. Like whenever like people finish work and then they want to order, I think they do that. So which was very convenient. I thought like people would jump onto it and then maybe ask for like I want to go first, right? But that really didn't happen, right? Because few initial with success, I think in the metros. So we were facing resistance at the distributor level. We were facing resistance at the retail level, right? And also from the team, no? So which was maybe not very enthusiastic kind of to take it forward quickly. So and the reasons could be like many for, or maybe many reasons in terms of if the schemes are there, how do you kind of maybe reach out to the last person on ground, because you've got A, B, C, D class of retailers and sitting maybe somewhere in very remote places. And then also people complaining about they don't have smartphones, there is no internet, and all those kind of reasons we were getting. And I think Mobisys really kind of helped us. Initially, we started with the phone app, but I think later we also changed to a computer version. Right? So where people, if you don't have a smartphone, maybe you can use your laptop or desktop to kind of order. and all the visibility was there. And then people were saying, initially when you kind of maybe go out with any new thing, one, like people are not used to, right? And they would uh, and specifically like the people who are beyond certain age, very difficult for them to maybe adapt to new technology. How do I kind of use that? So all that learnings, how do you make them kind of make understand that this is how it works? That's the advantage. So then few things that maybe, for example, initially when we started, you don't have an exchange facility, for example, right? And an exchange is like a big thing in contact lenses. So they would order because of maybe many SKUs, because of this scheme, they would order in bulk maybe one particular power, and then they would kind of keep exchanging, right? And then also, how do I put like bulk orders? If I need to order 500 lenses, for example, 500 boxes, I need to keep like ordering one by one if it is like different powers. So, which were like some of the things I think coming back as a feedback. And initially, also, we were facing challenge in terms of because the inventory was visible, that it takes time. When I open the system, like to kind of synchronize, it takes me like 5-10 minutes to synchronize. So all those, I think, teething issues we handled, and we said like if you open the app on a daily basis, like it would synchronize in a minute. But I think in the back end, Movisis team helped us to kind of maybe streamline some of those issues. Then maybe the few initial wins, or success, then getting to the next level was very, very difficult. So we then started with, okay, we give incentive to the distributors if you implement the system, because distributors were the first leg. If they implement, then only the retailers can.
Correct.
So we got through that first kind of passing through that barrier of getting distributors to implement that across country, and which was with maybe some incentive and sometimes maybe with a penalty. So beginning, I think Q1 2019, we finished with all the distributors. So it took us almost like uh, 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 9 to 10 months, right, to just finish off with the distributors. And these are like only one set of distributors. Forget about like chemist channel or the direct channel, and this is about like one fourth of our total distributor strength.
Mhm.
But the bigger ones, which give you like
Yeah.
about 70% of the business.
Correct.
Uh, then the next was to how do you kind of get the retailers to implement, right? So we started with the penalty first month in January 19. I remember it didn't work, like
We
we
spoke, I
failed
think, the first time.
miserably. Right.
That was the first time we spoke to each other. I remember that.
Correct, correct, correct. Then next was, okay, we give incentive to the retailers who kind of order through this one. So we saw a marginal improvement. Then we said, okay, we tried that for I think 1 or 2 months. It didn't work. It worked very marginally. Then we said, okay, any secondary scheme, if the retailer is putting the order by themselves, they would get 100%, and people who are not putting would not get 10% of the scheme. So they would get only like 90%.
Wow.
So gradually over the year 2019, so we moved, I think November 2019, we moved to a stage where we said, okay, if you are ordering through the Bizom app, you would get the scheme, otherwise you would not, right?
Yeah.
So that worked in a way where we saw like the retailers started ordering only the scheme products through Bizom. So which was amazing. So they would still want to kind of order
It worked.
the other products through maybe by a phone, or I don't know. So what were the reasons? But that was happening. So then we entered Q1. By the time the 100% was only, you get only like if you order through the system, and then we went into lockdown. But after the lockdown also, no. So we thought with the pandemic now it's difficult for the people to go and maybe meet in person or give orders. So people would prefer to use the app. No? If the owner of the shop is working from home anytime, at their convenience, they can order.
Correct.
But eventually we saw, right, that was also kind of, we reached about like 70-80%, but
Mhm.
still 30% was a challenge.
Correct.
So October, then we said, if the from beginning like 1st November, if if the retailers aren't ordering through the app, the distributor would not get the margin. So distributor is free to sell, right? But we would not be paying them the margins for the sale made to the retail.
Wow.
And you guess what? So we reached like 99% in November, and we were 99.8%, I think, in December.
Wow.
So it really worked.
That's
So even like the people in the remote places who were not having maybe the smartphones, the internet connectivity was an issue. So everybody kind of came on board. Maybe few might be there, which now I think would be buying from the wholesale, but that's okay.
absolutely.
Yeah. So if 99.5% are on board, I think that helps
That's
to get people on board. So when I look back and see, I think we should have done that earlier. So we were handling with more, maybe you can say like soft glove, but if you want to implement something and then you feel like there's a lot of resistance coming in, but it's for the larger good of the organization, I think you need to take those bold steps to fix it.
No, absolutely. I mean, so I keep on telling to all of the companies working with Bizome, and with examples like you, Sanjay, like having this management or willpower or leadership willpower is as important to having the best technology. So you can have the world's best technology and AI engine working for you, but if
Right.
the management and you guys have done phenomenally. I mean, it's extremely strong message that you give to say, look, we are committed to that technology so much so that we will give app only discounts, or we will give distributors margins only when they're getting it through this mobile app and stuff like that.
Right.
No wonder we are like close to 100%. Now you
Right.
touched upon COVID when you were talking, so let me just dwell. I think that's everybody's top of the head. But last year, obviously, all businesses, all over the industries, all of us were together in that we all suffered with the whole lockdowns and other situations. And then obviously some demand came back, some pent up demand came back in June, July, and then obviously we are now coming back to normal. But when such a groundbreaking event happened, how did BNL cope up with it? How did you leverage the technology or the infrastructure that you had built painstakingly over years to kind of build a competitive advantages in the shops during last year, especially, and till now?
I think very good question, Lalit. First of all, I think during the lockdown, no, so we were kind of as a team preparing what we need to do when unlock would happen, right?
Yeah.
And we were very confident in terms of, because we had already kind of implemented Bizom, and then we thought like the retailers already have that, distributors have that, and it's easier for them to order maybe sitting even at home, right?
Correct.
So which was I think quite good, and were like really thanking our stars that we were ahead of the curve while we thought of implementing that in 2018, 2019. So one of the thoughts which was coming to our mind, because that time also when we opened up, I think things opened up in India quite slowly. Uh, the government announced like the containment zones, the night traffic was not allowed. So all that was happening. And we thought then to kind of spread our inventory.
Yeah.
Right? So starting from our warehouse in Gurgaon, we maybe started parallel operations, or we moved like some of the inventory in Mumbai and some in Chennai.
Right.
So that any of the warehouse kind of comes into containment zone, Then you have maybe other warehouses to serve that demand. And we were the first ones to hit the market. In fact, the retailers and distributors were really appreciative of that fact that Bosch and Lomb is a company which is kind of really supporting us for us to like get back to our business. Right? So Bizom really helped there. Then it started kind of ordering through that system. In fact, the usability or of Bizom kind of went much more than what we were doing in March on its own. So from maybe 50%, it reached about like 70% after things were open. Then on a technology front, so you also ask the distributor to kind of spread inventory in 2 locations.
Right.
So one maybe their warehouse, if they have a second location, or maybe keep some fast moving powers at their home. So that was one. And then we created a backup. What happens if both the locations for the distributor comes under a containment zone, right? So we moved the business to a retailer either in the same state, right, or to a different state. Right. So we then prepared, I think also Mobis's team helped us with that idea that time. So all the retailers, so we also followed then the policy, one retailer, one distributor, right?
Nice.
which we implemented in 2019. So a retailer is mapped to only one distributor. So they can't buy from a second distributor because there were also challenges in terms of one retailer not paying to one distributor, then he moves to the other distributor, like to buy stuff.
Yeah.
So which also kind of this app really helped us there. And so we created that system where the entire set of retailers, at the back end in our office, maybe in an hour's time, moves to the other distributor, right? Could be could be within the state or outside the state. And then all those retailers would be kind of serviced through that particular distributor. And when that retailer is also kind of ordering, so instead of that order going to distributor A, with that chain would go to distributor B in a matter of an hour.
Nice.
Then all your schemes for the retailers and all your incentives for the employees kind of moved in tandem with that move. So which I think kind of really made a great difference. And it happened actually, like I think not much, but 4 or 5 states, I think we faced this challenge and we were able to make that system work in an hour's time.
Wow.
So which kind of was really, really appreciated by the trade, and also helps you to maybe the customers become more loyal.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously the fact that sometimes even the sales guys were not able to visit the shops and the shops were still order obviously helped.
Correct. So that was the second advantage because most of our sales team were also kind of working from home. Now much easier for them to ask the retailer to order through the app, and was absolutely kind of working fine. And then think about even maybe in a normal circumstance, forget about like COVID. The team is not able to visit maybe some of the D-class retailers. We've got over 10,000 retailers in the country. It's humanly not possible for the team to maybe visit each and every retailer, even in a quarter at times.
Correct.
So how do you kind of touch base? Also, when you announce a scheme on a monthly basis, very difficult for the team to maybe reach out to each and every retailer, explain them how this scheme works, right? And could also be like at times like Chinese whisper. So you understand something and you convey something else to the retailer. Could be very, very different what he understands,
Right.
So now on a click of a button on day one when we announce this scheme, right, it goes to all the retailers at the same time, and they read the same document.
Right.
So all those like it's possible because of Bizom, because that banner of the scheme, right? Any product we are putting on scheme in a month goes to all the retailers in the country at the same time.
That's
which
interesting.
is really
Thanks.
right.
That's appreciated. Thanks.
Right.
By the way, everybody who's watching, if you have any questions for Sanjay, I already see some compliments for Bosch and Lomb's product and services in the chat. But if you have any specific questions for Sanjay with respect to anything about his business, please put them on chat. Mansi will read them out towards the end of this session. Uh, so moving on, Sanjay, so we talked about this whole pre-COVID and during COVID and stuff like that. One of the interesting things now, while we were pioneers in 2018, now there are many companies, brands, marketplaces are doing this direct to retail kind of a reach out, right? Today, I'm sure you see things like, Udaan and other guys like GeoMart and all of that. They think of that as an innovation. Little
Right.
do they know that we have been doing this since 2017 any which way. But one of the interesting things you could share with our audience is some of the things that behavior changes. You were telling me some anecdotes about how retailers' behavior has changed now over the years of being directly connected with Bosch and Lomb as a brand. Do you want to
Right.
share with audience in terms of what are those behavior changes that you have seen, noticed, some stories that people are
Right.
ordering at odd times on weekend?
Right.
What's happening?
Right. So I briefly touched upon that, Lalit. Uh, uh, so retailers kind of ordering after the business hours, no? It became like very convenient for them. So whenever, and then people would close shop at maybe 9, 10 p.m. Typically maybe in some of the markets, right? And and as I said, like somebody ordering at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the night, when at times you wonder like what these guys are kind of doing at 2 a.m. in the morning that they're ordering. I think at times it will be urgent orders, no,
Yeah.
so that they can kind of maybe get that next morning. The second thing, very important, no, and very interesting. So Sundays generally was like zero business for us.
Correct.
So when we started implementing Bizom, and generally like on a weekend, I would open the app and see like what's happening during the week, which customer kind of ordering what product, how many products getting ordered, how is it moving, any new product, what's the kind of traction we're getting. So all those analytics kind of maybe come in, and then very interesting to see that data coming out. Then initially with the app, now I saw like about 50,000 rupees kind of orders coming on a Sunday. Sure, and retailers were also kind of not that I give an order to a contact lens company on a Sunday. Maybe they were not used to that, but now I think we see like almost the orders we get on a daily basis coming on a Sunday as well.
Wow. Okay.
So if I look at that, I would maybe think whether that's like an additional sales to me, or this was like otherwise would have come in on a weekday. So that's very interesting and encouraging to see that. So which is there, and also it helps you to kind of maybe analyze the data. At times, what happens, uh, uh, people picking up like lot of big quantities for a particular brand, then puts you a question mark like why he's kind of maybe buying so much of stock. Is it like because a lot of movement happens from one city to another. So very important thing which happened for us, like prior to implementing Bizom, our product was kind of flowing from say Delhi to Chennai, for example.
Right.
And some of the practices we also changed.
Mm.
So we were giving like different kind of discounts in different markets.
Mm.
So there was a annual scheme,
Mm.
then there was a monthly scheme at the central level,
Right.
and then the regional managers had the power to give a different scheme at the regional level, right? So, for example, Region A has given a discount on product one, and Region B gives discount on product two.
Mm.
Right? So, product one would flow from Region one to A to B, and and similarly, like product two would flow from B to A, right? And as a result, the price was not constant in the country. It's not a bulky material, very easy to like ship it out. So it was kind of we were a lot of like pricing disparity within maybe different cities, and the retailers were never confident whether they're kind of buying at the right price or not. So they would negotiate with the team that I'm getting this from. So for example, if the price is 100, he would say I'm getting it from Chennai for maybe 19. Right? So
Yeah.
we taken all the regional managers' powers in 2019, and then it's like one price, one country, one price,
Wow.
and all transparent through the retailer app, which is like Bizom, and also the scheme document kind of published on Bizom on a monthly basis.
Wow.
So you don't get anything beyond what's already published. Right? So that's kind of really helped to stabilize the price in the country. And initially, when we were kind of doing market visits, you used to hear like a lot of these complaints. Your product I'm getting from, for example, if you're visiting Delhi market, like I get cheaper from Bombay or maybe Chennai or Calcutta. But you don't hear that because now you can show them the app. If you don't know, like let me open for you. Here is the scheme document. This is what you get. You don't get anything beyond.
Yeah.
So which really kind of
Awesome. No wonder all these shopkeepers are so loyal to us as a Bosch and Lomb
Right.
brand. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal achievement. Right. I think we are, well, this is very interesting. We're running out of time. So last question for you, right? At Bosch and Lomb, we have been fairly ahead of curve as far as technology, digital is concerned, right? And like people say that every future company, any company, whether it's FMCG, pharma, whatever companies that they are, they're all going to be technology companies in future. And you, we are doing this in Bosch and Lomb for years now, so I'm fairly sure you share the same ethos. Now, as a going forward as a technology company, what do you think how can we stay ahead in Bosch and Lomb, ahead of the curve, ahead of the competition, and basically what are the next targets for us? What is this next achievement you expect us to help you out in? What is the next battle we need to win together?
Right. No, I think interesting question, Lalit. So, see, the first challenge was how do I get like 100% of my retailers on this app, no?
Right.
So, which was the first thing? I think we achieved that last year. So now you can do like maybe 100 different things, no?
Mm-hmm.
So starting from maybe if you want to run maybe any of the contest, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So between the retailers, and that's like transparent and kind of visible to do all, right? Any kind of communication you want to give, any new product launches, and you are sending that ad rather than like spending money on digital media. So you send it to your relevant people, if it is B2B,
Yes.
right? You can also maybe run kind of sales team contest. You can run maybe the distributor contest on this one with maybe in a transparent manner. The other thing what we're looking forward is how do we kind of maybe overcome now this fact about the bulk orders. So can we do maybe an upload at a maybe retailer level? So how kind of we make that easier so that our exchanges kind of go lower? Right? So I think the multiple things which are in the pipeline, and as we go, kind of best thing is go to the market and understand what people need. So that's the best place where you get like what you need to do as a company. Last few months we're working from home. Hopefully, once we start going out, I think we will get to hear much more now that the 100% people are there on Bizom.
Right.
So many more things would come in. I think one of the challenges which you also faced once the GST was implemented. So that kind of so these kind of things I think would keep coming. But with the technology, I think really kind of helps to maybe overcome those at a much faster and becomes like much easier.
Absolutely. No, very interesting. So as I said, I mean, we are always looking forward to getting that next challenge from you and trying to achieve that, whether it is, better route to market, better retailer connect, whichever way you say. Uh,
Right.
let me just take a couple of questions from
Okay.
audience, because we are already running at 55. So let me take a couple of questions at least from audience. So one question from Michelle is about, has your retailer satisfaction increased after automating your trade schemes? Uh, what kind of automation do you have now in trade scheme, and has it increased the satisfaction CSAT, or has it increased some level of loyalty within your retailers?
Right. So thank you, Michelle, for asking that question. I think very, very important because unless people would not see any benefit, no, so they would kind of throw out any system or any process you kind of take to them. I think very important for most of the retailers, I would say the majority of the population, no, they can get to see the scheme on day one. Earlier, they were dependent on the sales team. When the guy would come in, inform them, explain them the scheme, and then they would order during the month. And generally, when we come up with a scheme, it's a monthly scheme, so it's not kind of maybe running it that for a year.
Right.
So then kind of leaves them with very less time
Mhm.
to maybe buy during the month. But now they get to know the scheme on day one. So generally, we would announce the scheme on second or third day.
Mm,
Right? So across the country, even to a retailer sitting in maybe Timbuktu, so he would get to hear at the same time as the guy in
as the guy.
Delhi or Mumbai.
Yeah.
So it becomes very, very transparent. For some, maybe who were not very happy implementing Bizom, but I think they would also kind of come on board.
That's really cool.
And then by this time, I think they would have, because it's already like over 2.5 years for us since we've automated.
Absolutely.
Right.
Okay. The last question before I hand it over to you, Mansi. So the next question is from Kishore. I will not read out it verbatim, but more importantly, I think the question is pointing to how are you leveraging. So all this now, with all this technology and other stuff, you are getting a lot of this data and real-time insight into what's happening in your route to market at your shops and distributors and stuff like that. How are you, what kind of analytics, what kind of insights do you drive from that, and what actions do you take out of it?
I think very good question, Kishore. So first and foremost, I said when I was in Delhi market and talking to a retailer, no, and he complaining about not getting the product on time, right? So service is very, very important in any industry you talk about, be it like FMCG, healthcare. If people don't get product in time, irrespective of like how good the product is, you would not be accepted in the market.
Right.
So with Bizom and the analytics, no, so we kind of look at one like what kind of products are getting ordered. Even at a retail level, they can see if the inventory is there or not, right?
Right.
And which helps them to kind of maybe figure out how much time they need to tell to the customer to come back to pick up the stock. So that's one, and then we also kind of look at in how much time we are fulfilling the orders.
Correct.
From maybe the time you get the orders till the time you sell it, because that was the most important thing for us while we were thinking of like implementing this. To a great extent, I think this is helping us out, and also the other thing which I mentioned maybe during one of the questions, also analyzing like what kind of inventory is being picked up. So for example, if it is D class retailer, who's like selling 10 boxes, now suddenly like picks up like 100 boxes or 500 boxes, so that kind of raises an alarm, right? And also because you've got expiry dates for the product, and
Yeah.
so that makes it like even more uh, uh, what do I say, like difficult, no? Or, I mean, the product is more, there are more chances of you getting back the expired product. So
Correct.
all those analytics, I think, are helping to improve service and also kind of lower the exchanges and the visibility into the system. No? What kind of inventory is there?
That's
Yeah.
phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I have heard this from Bosch and Lomb, Sanjay, that we are replacing inventory with data, and that's a
Right.
phenomenal statement. I
Right.
think that is an amazing vision to have.
Right.
Phenomenal thing. Over to you, Mansi. I think we are already on time, but over to you.
There's one last question from Shruti, and she's asking, has Bizom Analytics platform helped BNL team in making business decisions such as designing some schemes or discounts?
Yeah. Absolutely. Thanks, Shubhi. I think great question. So it did. So basically, before we implemented kind of Bizom, no, we were also giving both primary and secondary schemes, right? So when we put on Bizom, so first thing, like we moved out of primary scheme. Now because we have visibility into who's buying what and how the retailers are kind of maybe their purchasing habit, no? And with data over like 2 years, 3 years period now, gives you like at a click of a button to see at a see their buying pattern. So I give you very interesting example. So this was after the lockdown, no? So we saw suddenly, and this was like I was playing with the system on Saturday, Sunday, and I saw like a small retailer in Guwahati, I think somewhere, uh, ordering like big units for a particular brand. So then I asked the area sales manager on Monday call, like, why is happening, and then he went and analyzed. No? So what had happened, like last year he picked up, say for example, 500,000 worth of stock, and this month his entire order was like 600,000. So we said, wow, like, well, why is that's happening? No? So must be like something very different which has happened. So then we stalled that order. So those, this is like very small thing, but I think you get like a lot of information and on a real time basis, which really helps you to design the scheme. So if you analyze the data, which would also give you patterns in terms of if you look at quarter two, maybe a cheaper value of lens would be picked up because that's the time kind of when the colleges would open. And you can kind of really relate to that. And if you want to maybe run schemes, even like to push that sales further, and you can take those decisions there. And how is like product moving with each scheme you implement. So over a period of time, I think this becomes very helpful.
We have a last question. The question is, what do you think is the biggest strength of Washington Law with respect to other competitors?
Uh, Many. So
How,
first
how,
is
how
the
are we winning? How are we? So we have 65% of market share, and
right,
I mean, obviously everybody loves Bosch and Lomb more than our competitors. So
right.
how are we winning?
Many I said. So first is I think we were the first one in the country to come with a soft contact lens. No? Globally also, I think we are a company which first introduced the soft contact lens. So that's one. Second, I think the number of brands we have, no, is we cover like the entire portfolio from yearly lenses to daily lenses. Even in daily lenses, for example, we would have like four different variants starting from 900 rupees for a 30 lens pack, going up to like 6,000 rupees, or sorry, about 4,000 rupees. So that's the kind of variety you have catering to different lifestyles, and each lens would serve maybe different pocket and different lifestyles. Similarly, also in lens scale, we've got like five different products. So the range of products we have is great. The quality of the products is best that we have, and we were like first to introduce the hydrogel lens. Then we were also first to come up with maybe the silicon hydrogel lens. And then beginning of the last decade, we were the first to come with the hypergel lens. So industry still is at hydrogel and silicon hydrogel. Hypergel is the next technology. So we are there. Then the team is always like people say, you might have like great product, but unless you have a great team, it doesn't make like a great company. So the team is very, very great and put like a lot of focus on training. So we have got about 10 people, 11 people in the system who are just the trainers.
Wow.
Or the optometrists. So we don't even like look at training our own team, but we also go and train people in the community. So all the optometrists. So we have tied up with about like 10 different colleges where we would maybe, as a part of their curriculum, would go and maybe talk to them about contact lenses and train them. So those are like some of the things which make like I think Bausch & Lomb a great company. And this is my biggest stint since I've started working. I started in 2006. It's been like 15 years now.
True.
That's phenomenal. That shows. I mean, that's phenomenal. Mansi, you want to?
Yeah. Yes, now it's time for the audience to answer a few questions. So audience, be ready with your email IDs and post the right answer. You've got 10 seconds. Here's the question. Which region has the highest FMCG demand in 2020? The options are East, West, North, and South. You have got 10 seconds. You won't find the answer on Google, so you can just make the right guesses. And the question is open to everyone, to all the Mobizy guys too. But yes, the queries will be only sent to non-Mobizy people. 10 seconds up, and the correct answer is no. Now, here goes the last question. Last time to Belaguri, and the question is, Mr. X is the CPG sales head of a famous FMCG brand. His company's retail network is small, which is decelerated to top-line growth. Assuming you are Mr. X, which Bizom module will you adopt to expand retail universe of the company? There are 4 options: Bizom Gamification, Bizom OneView, Bizom Retailer App, Bizom Testing App. So if you have any of the numbers of our sales rep or account managers, give them a call, get the answers. Otherwise, this is obviously not on Google, either on our LinkedIn page, anywhere. You've got 10 seconds. For the people who doesn't have a sales rep number, just wait for 10 seconds and let you know from where you get the answer. Yes?
I think there should be a 5th option also. All of the above.
Yeah, the correct answer is Bizom Retailer App. So now all those who didn't have the numbers of the sales rep, there's an email ID at the bottom. If you are facing some problem with just like Mr. X, send a mail to us and one of the sales rep will get in contact. So guys, this is the end of the webinar. And if you want to be part of such webinars, this is the next upcoming webinar, which is scheduled for the next Friday, that is 19th. We are hosting this with the co-founder and CEO of Shikalka, Mr. Shashi Kumar. If you want to join us, please register for this. This is our LinkedIn page. Please do follow us for all the updates and everything. Our upcoming webinars and videos and everything. So Sanjay, thank you so much for taking your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay, for being patient and patiently answering all the questions. It was lovely, lovely talking to you. Thank you so much.
Same here, and thanks to all the audiences.